Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Duster Squad podcast. And it is very odd for me to be saying that. Feels strange. But to give a little update, it's just going to be me today because I don't know how much detail Mike wants me to go into, but I'll just say that his girlfriend got a new job, so they're going to be moving like halfway across the country. So he's a little busy. Probably for the next 2 or 3 weeks anyway, I think is what his idea was. And I didn't think I had the ability or knowledge really to right on the spot get the podcast going with the guys on my part, but I do have enough old experience of making some very basic jump cut YouTube videos. So just to get some content on the channel and keep the news updates going, you're going to get some standalone and Benny videos the next couple weeks. Be happy or sad about that to whatever degree you would like. But just to get going, they're probably going to be quick little like 20-30 minute things. I don't even know how long, depending on how long I get talking. But we're going to start with news and notes from around the league because yesterday, out of nowhere, I was getting back out to Plattsburgh after visiting some family and doing some grocery shopping, and I got one of the most unexpected push notifications from The Athletic I've seen in a while, seeing that Lane Lambert was out as Islanders head coach, which I have a message to read off from Eric. He mentions a little bit about the Islanders situation right now. But Lane Lambert out, and Patrick Waugh comes in. He returns as, well, not first coaching capacity, first job in the NHL in coaching since, I believe, I have it right here, 2015-16 was the last season, and that was with the Colorado Avalanche. There was a brief minute there where I think he was involved in the GM talks when the Habs were up trying to find a new GM, and ended up going to Kent Hughes. I don't know how far that went. I know he put his name forward, and I think they did some very basic talks, but that didn't end up happening. So now he ends up on the island, and I believe the quote from Lou Lamoriello was the other day was at the press conference was that he wasn't interested in anyone else, and that's why Patrick Waugh is here. It wasn't interested in any other coaches, that is. So a decisive move. To me, feels like Lou's flailing a little. I don't know about it, but I guess we shall see. Just a little rundown of his time when he was coaching with the Avalanche. He had, in his first season, they popped the hell off. They had 52 wins, 22 losses, and 8 overtime losses in 82 games. And were looking great the whole year, but also at the same time, underlying that, they kind of had like going on a crazy PDO bender and were like shooting the lights out, shooting percentage-wise. And some people thought that might not be sustainable, and it turns out it wasn't because they got bounced pretty quickly in the first round. And then the 2 seasons after that, missed the playoffs both times, 39-31-12 and 39-39-4. And then I believe it was after that 15-16 season, before coming back for the next one, he just quit. He just quit. And that was how Bednar happened. And that was how they're I think it might, at the time, might have been record-setting how bad it was season. They had like 40-some-odd points, and then randomly, like 2 or 3 years later, had a cup. You can turn it around fast if you have the right players. So not the greatest coaching record in the NHL, but much more recently, this year, won the Memorial Cup with the Quebec Remparts, which I feel like is just his guaranteed job. Whenever he's not doing something in the NHL, he goes to Quebec and works for the Remparts. But won Memorial Cup with them this past year, and in decisive fashion. Like, I think he had an insane year with them, 52 wins. Again, I think it was 50-something wins. He had a good year. So who knows? Maybe he's grown as a coach. Maybe it won't be such a bad option. But let's just say I was happy when the Habs didn't bring him into their organization. But that is enough on Patrick Waugh, and we'll move to today's news, which I'm recording this on Sunday the 21st, so it's in the afternoon right now, so we're going to be missing some night games in this video, but that's okay. But the news that came out today is Corey Perry is going to be, or not going to be, or actually it might still be going to be. I don't know. It's just been a bunch of reportedlys so far, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those where it's all of the big people have said reportedly, but it's going to happen. Corey Perry signing the rest of the year with the Edmonton Oilers. So we still don't really know, I don't think, it quite exactly happened with Chicago, but it was something bad enough off ice to void that contract, but then also have Gary Bettman be like, no, you can still play in the NHL. So who the fuck knows? But because we don't really know, I don't see much point in talking too much more about that. We'll just talk about where he's going now. He is going to the Edmonton Oilers, who, while they are shit hot right now, I think they saw and realized could use some more depth scoring. And he could provide that. He should be able to. He had 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points in 16 games in his time with the Blackhawks this year, which he was probably playing a bigger role than he will with Edmonton. But still, I mean, he's a guy who can chip in some points. It won't be a lot, and he'll probably get a 4th-line role, but I think that will kind of help them in a way. It'll hopefully help them be able to kind of establish a lower line that kind of has a purpose, like the kind of line that he was on when he was in his time with Tampa, where it was we're going to send these guys out to just fuck around for a bit and fuck your day up. So who knows? Maybe it'll be something like that. But he is with the Oilers for the rest of the season. And on that topic, the Oilers set, I want to say the record was, they have a 13-game winning streak at the moment, and I'm pretty sure I saw a story last night where they were the first Canadian team to ever do so, which is wild that none of the 70s Habs ever did that, because I think there was definitely a couple years where they didn't lose more than 8 games. They were insane. But hey, good for Edmonton. I could not have told you I would have expected that if you go back to November, Ben, and pick his brain, because God, the Oilers did not look like they had it. But as it turns out, having two of the best, well, the best, and then the other guys at least in the top 5 in terms of forwards in the world, that kind of makes up for a lot. And it also helps when your goalie starts stopping anything, literally anything. He actually makes saves now, so that is a big help. So good on the Oilers. 13 wins in a row, which is pretty wild. That is a hell of a winning streak. So good on them. But now we get into our weekly team updates, and I have some notes from the friendos. Although Nick never did send anything to me just yet, but when we get to the Senators, we'll talk a little more about that. But we'll start with the Lightning, and this is Mike's message to me. All I'd say is the Bolts are looking fairly good. They're on a 5-game win streak going into tonight's game against Detroit, so yes, that game hasn't happened yet. Is that one that starts at 5? I know there's some games that start at 5 tonight. Regardless, it will have happened by the time this video goes up, so you guys will know. Did they win? Are they in a better playoff spot? Who knows? They need to win this game against the Detroit as they were close in the standings. All in all, they look like they're turning things around, but we'll have to see them against some stronger teams. Yes, currently they are in the 3rd Atlantic spot. They're in a playoff spot, but Toronto and Detroit are really breathing down their neck. Although I can't really call Toronto breathing down anybody's necks. They're kind of just figuring out their own shit right now. But the Lightning, they're the Lightning. I think it's just about what you'd expect out of them. In one of their down years, it's a year where they're kind of figuring out where they're at after any team has that many consecutive runs to the finals. You got to kind of then step back a little bit, reassess, figure out where the roster's at. I feel like this is where they should be at this point. They're still insanely. They have an insanely good core that is going to prop them up to a large degree, and they're doing that right now. And they're in a playoff spot, but they're having some struggles. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of continue to work their way out of that. So good on the Lightning. And then we move on to the Islanders, who Eric also sent me a little message. We got the Islanders are having a slump right now. They have lost 6 of their last 7 games, and some of those they blew a lead in the third period as well. Despite being a few points out of a playoff spot, they are now 6th in the Metro, and I think Lou hit the panic button a little and has now hired Patrick Waugh as the Islanders head coach, as you mentioned. I don't know much about Waugh as a coach, but he coached the Avalanche back in 2015 and had 2 relatively successful seasons with them, so it'll be interesting to see what he can pull out of this Islanders team. It will be interesting. It'll be interesting. I hope it goes well for you, Eric. I really do. Because we've mentioned this God knows how many times in the show, but the Islanders are one of the Eastern teams where I'm like, I don't have any ill will. I honestly kind of like them, and they're fun. And I know you guys have heard me and Eric go back and forth about that with the Islanders and the Habs for a while in terms of they're both teams that both of us kind of like the other's team and have a little bit of a soft spot for them. So I hope this works for the Islanders. We shall see. But then now we move on to the Senators. And as I said a little earlier, Nick never sent me anything. But if he does send me something while I'm still editing this video, I will add it in here. And if he doesn't send me anything, it's just going to be me doing this talking. Okay, and here we go. The Senators. Now, they're still 8th in the Atlantic, and they are 3-6-1 in their last 10. But of those, their last 3, I believe, were a 6-2 win against the Habs, which we're going to talk about the Habs. But if you're a basement dweller and needs to get back on the horse a little bit and get their vibes back, there's no better team to play than the Montreal Canadiens, who are a team that can fucking beat Colorado and New Jersey in 2 games in a row and then lose 6-2 to the Ottawa Senators, who but after that win, they then went on to, I believe it was lose 2-1 in overtime to Winnipeg, which is no shame in that. Winnipeg's a fucking powerhouse this year, so getting a point out of that game isn't so bad. And then today they had an afternoon game and beat Philadelphia, I believe, 5-3. Yes. And one of the other notable things is this was the first weekend we've seen Shane Pinto back in action following his 41 game? 41 game? 40-something game. It's either 41 or 42 game suspension for the gambling-related issues, which we don't need to relitigate all that, but it still doesn't make a lot of sense to me to this day. But so yeah, still largely struggling, but have kind of gotten their feet under them a little bit in the last little while, and I think I have the secret answer to why they've largely been struggling. Korpisalo, 887 save percentage, 3.56 goals allowed average. Forsberg, 889 save percentage, 3.35 goals allowed average. And in very tiny sample size, is it Mads Sogard? I want to say it's an M name. Sogard, anyway, their third stringer. In 2 games, a 4.57 goals against average and an 8.45 win percentage, or save percentage rather. And I believe he got his 1 win today. I think he was the one in net against Philly, but yeah, that kind of goaltending is not gonna help you. So hopefully that can bounce back for them a little bit and level out a little bit. I imagine there's a degree of probably need a little better defense in front of their goalies is probably part of it, but still, 3 goalies with sub 900 save percentages is not how you want to be doing things. But I'm interested to see where they're going to go, because Jacques Martin is obviously probably not the long-term solution, but I don't know what they do. I don't know if that's a end of the season thing or if somebody comes available sooner than then or wants to. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see where that goes. But now I'm going to kind of freeball it with the Habs here. I didn't make any notes for them because I don't need to, because they consume my existence and just make me sad most of the time. No, that's a little dramatic. But the Montreal Canadiens baffle me to no end. As I was saying just before in the Ottawa clip, they I'm not going to say they looked great, but they looked okay in a game against Edmonton. They were one of very few teams recently who can hold Edmonton to fewer than 4 goals. They brought it to overtime against them, lost 2-1, and got outshot to holy hell by the end. And it was really Monty keeping them in it, but also like stop taking penalties against Edmonton. Their power play is not doing amazing right now, but if you give McDavid enough tries, eventually it's going to go in. And turns out it did in overtime, so that was fun. But following that, they played a friggin' fantastic game against Colorado, win. And I can't admittedly talk too much to the quality of their game against New Jersey because I wasn't able to watch it because regional blackouts. Gotta love them. Because I live in New York State. So luckily I don't lose out on too many Habs games because they consider Montreal, even though I'm an hour away from there, I'm not in that region, because it's in Canada, so I get lucky on that. But it's anytime they're playing any of the New York teams or New Jersey, any of the MSG teams, I'm fucked. But they get the win against New Jersey, where they were up 2-0, blew that lead, which they've been doing a fucking lot of that lately, which is they're an inexperienced young team. They're going to do that, which is like kind of squaring these things in my head. But then instead of kind of meekly going away, they get the 3-2 goal before the end of the game. They get the win. Good on you. Good stuff. Which also, Cole Caulfield popping the hell off lately. He was on pace for 16 goals like a couple weeks ago, I think. And then now he's on pace for right around 30. So improving. And honestly, it's a year coming back from a major shoulder surgery. I think people should have expected it a little more, that he was going to be a little slower coming back. But if he can manage to hit 30, which the way he's playing right now, it honestly looks like he could. I think that's a successful year for a guy just coming back from having a really major shoulder surgery. That'd be good. But now we get to talk about all of the bad from this week. I already mentioned the 6-2 loss to Ottawa, which just, there was nothing good about that game. I think they came out of the first period being outshot like it was something stupid. It was in the teens to like 3. I think it was like 15-3 or something. And it's like there were some goals that Primo would want back, but also how much can you put it on your goalie when that's what you're doing in front of him is you can't. So a game to forget about against Ottawa, and then Boston last night, which I also couldn't watch because the NHL is so fucking brilliant that when it's on NHL Network, their network that they own, their own network, it gets blacked out on ESPN Plus, which I mean, fucking offices in NHL, it's like, surely, yeah. The person who doesn't have cable is going to get it specifically because, this one game is going to be blacked out, so they have to watch it. They're obviously going to get cable. No, nobody's going to fucking do that. And also, there's no regional TV deal thing to do with this one. It's your own fucking network. Anyway, ranted for long enough to put off talking about the shit game the Habs played last night, because I wasn't able to watch it, but I was following along on Twitter, and it was like, okay, sure, yeah, you're staying in it for the first like period and a half, and then they kind of fell apart a little bit later in the second, and then they got it back within 1 very late in the second. It's like, okay, 5-4 going into third, make it a game, whatever. And then it ended up 9-4. Which was sad, but also I have David Pastrnak in fantasy, so like, I guess I'll take what I can take what I can get here. But holy fuck, that was rough. It was rough. So hopefully we will be looking toward better days ahead for the Habs. They have, what kind of schedule they got coming up? Let's give it a quick look here. I know they play Ottawa again soon, so that's fun. Those games are always normal. Oh yeah, it's Ottawa on Tuesday, New York Islanders, Eric, on Thursday, and the Pittsburgh Penguins on next Saturday. So don't really know what to expect at this point. I guess we shall see. I'm mostly just hoping that a Sean Monahan trade will happen sooner than later because he's got, I think, like 30 points in like 40 some odd games this year. He's looking great, and the fact that he's not become majorly injured again at this point is a minor miracle. So I would like them to trade him before he gets injured. That would be awesome. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the Habs. Just waiting for the trade deadline, and we'll see where it goes from there. And we will cap this video off with a quick fantasy drop-in. Let's see how we're doing. So in the league, we are currently sitting, I don't think it's changed much. We got Nick at the top because he's been just impossible to beat all year. He's 12-2-0. Then we got Tony Martin in second. We got Mike in third. We got Mike's mom, Mrs. Campbell, in fourth. We got Danielle in fifth and me in sixth, but that is going to flip tonight because I am kicking the shit out of Danielle this week. Sorry, Danielle, but holy, I don't know where this came from for my team. But I'm currently up on her 436 to 276, and the projected end is 498 to 317. So I will tie her record-wise, and then I think we'll end up having more points. So that will put me ahead of her into fifth, and I'll be breathing down Mrs. Campbell's back if Mike can hold on to his matchup against her, which I really need him to. It's projected that he will, but I really need him to, because then that'll help me kind of keep inching up, because he is currently beating her 381 to 311. Nick is beating Mike's dad 335 to 218. Holy shit. And Eric is having a banger of a week. Well, the seventh place Eric is beating Tony Martin 469 to 367. So who knows? Maybe I'll have to worry about Eric breathing down my back soon. We never know. But that is your weekly fantasy update from the Duster Squad Podcast Fantasy League. And I think that is going to do it for me today. I hope all the viewers are doing well. Hope you like and subscribe and leave some comments if you got any feedback about what I could maybe do. I don't know how many I can't talk. I don't know how many more of these I'm going to be doing or when we're going to be getting back up and running once Mike and Danielle get moved. We shall see. But until next time, anyway, I will talk to y'all later, and have a good one.